So today's lesson, lesson number 6, closing the project. So the journey we started today together on September 21st started with the lesson called Business Environment. Business Environment, and that was lesson number 1. We went through this journey from September 21st to November 2nd. We had, this is our 7 sessions. We had 7 sessions during this journey. And today we are completing the lesson called Closing the Project. Each lesson had some topics. Each lesson had some topics, and these topics were these topics were related to the principles of that specific lesson, right? That's what the whole idea has been here. PMI is presenting to us some principles related to a specific area in a project, related to a specific stage in a project. And principles are nothing but the fundamental truth that govern the system of thinking. And I've been saying this again and again. The idea of principle-based project management over tools and techniques or processes-based project management, right? So today we're looking at closing the project, but if you look at the entire journey from September 21st to November 2nd, from business environment to closing the project, folks, quick question for you. What has this journey been about? On day 1, I said the entire journey, the 6 lessons are about. What are these 6 lessons about? What do you guys think? These were about?
Integration.
Guys, these 6 lessons, if you look at all the 6 lessons, these 6 lessons.
Prioritization.
Sorry?
Prioritization.
Really? Are these 6 lessons about prioritization? No, they are not. Prioritization is a principle of adaptive projects. So what were these 6 lessons all about? What was the story they were telling us? What was the story that was being presented as part of these 6 lessons?
Project management mindset.
Anyone else?
Life cycle of a project.
Very good. Who said that?
Janice.
Janice? Well said. Thank you so much. Project life cycle. On day 1, I said, guys, this book, these 6 lessons, or PMI authorized PMP exam prep is nothing but the life cycle of a project. We are here, now it's day 7, to complete or to get the PMP certification. Project Management Professional Certification. PMP means Project Management Professional. Project Management. So the PMI authorized PMP exam prep that PMI put together has 6 lessons, and these 6 lessons speak the story of the journey of a project. They speak the story of the life cycle of a project. They speak the story of a project from the day it is born to the day it is closed, right? From initiating to closing. Very, very important, Janice. Thank you so much for saying that, right? The whole idea here is project life cycle. 6 lessons speaking the story of project life cycle or of story of a project. Now, lesson number 6 is a very simple lesson. Lesson number 6 is PMI's way of telling us what are some of the good things that we must do when we close the project. Now, this is the story of lesson 6 that PMI is trying to present to us. And the story goes like this. New slide. Let's get a blank slide here. And lesson 6, kindly pay attention. Close the project. There are 3 topics. Topic A is all about some guidelines on how to close a project. If it's a project or a phase, how do you close it? Predictive or waterfall or adaptive or agile. So PMI has presented some of the good practices, best practices, and they have used only one slide to speak this story, and that one slide speaks 1,000 stories. So we want to look at that story a little bit. Then PMI says, well, all projects are undertaken to deliver benefits. At the end, we want to see whether the project benefits were realized or not. And benefit realization is done using a document in the pre-project phase that business created called the, guys, what were the 2 business documents?
Business case.
And
project charter.
Project plan.
Charter.
pre-project.
Business management plan.
Very good. Benefit management plan. Folks, you got to start visualizing your life cycle a little bit better, right? It's been 7 weeks and we've been repeating, and my first step always in the class has been to speak the life cycle of a project and then speak about that specific lesson. Benefit realization is about checking, ensuring, validating whether the benefits that were promised in the beginning have been delivered or not. And how do we do that? By looking at the benefit management plan that was created as part of benefit management plan that was created as part of the pre-project phase and refined throughout, right? Pre-project phase. So business case and benefit management plan, all the benefits are listed in the benefit management plan. They're elaborated in the benefit management plan. And topic C, PMI says, well, it's also very important in the end to ensure that knowledge transfer takes place. Keep this in mind. Knowledge transfer is an activity that happens throughout the life cycle of the project. At this time, we want to ensure that knowledge has been transferred from the project organization to the receiving organization, confirmation. But this activity happens throughout the project. This is the time we want to confirm it one more time. So lesson 6, closing the project, has 3 topics. First, what are some of the good practices in closing a project, whether predictive and adaptive project? Confirming that benefits have been realized and using benefit management plan to validate this information. And finally, ensuring that knowledge transfer has happened. Keeping in mind that knowledge transfer is not an event, it is a process that continues to happen throughout the life cycle of the project. So 3 topics as part of our lesson today. The lesson is closing the project. So any questions thus far, folks? You good? Everyone okay? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Amazing. So let's take a look at right here. This is PMI slide for us. PMI says, well, closing the project, think about these 3 topics. Think about these 3 topics, topic A, topic B, and topic C. at least at a bare minimum. These are three principles that you want to keep in mind. Some of the principles of project closure as part of topic A, realization of benefit and validation, topic B, knowledge transfer and confirmation, always keeping in mind that knowledge transfer continues to happen throughout the life cycle of the project. If you pay attention in my class right now, this lesson, lesson 6 on PMI's exam has 15 to 20 questions. Out of 180 questions, there are 15 to 20 questions that are specifically from this lesson. If you pay attention in the first 3 hours, trust me, you're going to get 20 out of 20 sessions. One of those first questions that you would see from this lesson is, how do you do benefit realization? What document do you use for that? And the answer would be, folks, the answer would be
Benefit management.
benefit management plan. Very good. Very good. And knowledge transfer is an activity that happens at the end. Do you think that's true?
No.
False. It happens throughout the life cycle of a project. You know, during the initial conversation, I think Kangni and Hirsch, when I said, what is that document or which is part of pre-project? They said pre-project charter. That's wrong. Project charter is a document, is a project document that is created during the initiating of the project. Keep this in mind. Project charter is a project document that is created during the initiating of the project. It is a project document. Business documents, the 2 business documents that PMI speaks about are business case and benefit management plan. Sometimes before the business case is created, there could be another document called business need document. These are all pre-project documents. Keep that in mind. These are pre-project documents, right? So three topics as part of our journey today. Now, let's start looking at project. Topic A, project phase closure. Now, some of the important things to remember. PMI is speaking about some of the best practices for predictive here. And PMI is also speaking about or presenting to us some of the best practices of project or phase closure for adaptive projects. What are some of the things that you will consider when the project goes into closing phase, whether predictive or adaptive? And all that has been summarized by PMI in one slide. The next slide on the PMP exam presents to you there are 4 to 6 questions out of 15 questions hidden on this slide. So you might want to mark this slide as a very important slide for you. It's an extremely powerful slide that PMI has created and that PMI would test you on. And there are numerous questions from here. I would say at least six on the PMP exam. So PMI says, well, on a predictive project, this is PMI's representation of predictive here. On a predictive project, stakeholders will accept the project based on, accept the deliverable, accept the product based on the acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is listed in the project management plan. Keep that in mind. The stakeholders may also use requirement traceability matrix that provides coverage to requirement to gain or ensure completion and approval of the project. Two important questions on PMP exam. Project management plan contains the acceptance criteria in a predictive project. Stakeholders use this acceptance criteria to accept the deliverable or the product or the service of the project. Predictive projects. On adaptive projects, the product owner will use definition of done to accept the outcome of an iteration. So on adaptive project, stakeholders or product owner will use the definition of done to accept the outcome of an iteration. Just like product acceptance criteria is listed in the project management plan, similarly, definition of done is established during the iteration planning. Definition of done are those conditions that are established or provided by the product owner in collaboration with the team to let the team know these are the conditions I would check when I accept the outcome during demo. So definition of done is established during iteration planning and is applied during the demo of the project. Keep that in mind. So there are 4 to 6 questions here. Question for you, who provides the definition of done? It is the PO, product owner, that provides definition of done. When is the definition of done established? PMP exam question. It is established during iteration planning or sprint planning. When is the definition of done applied? During demo or review. 3 questions from adaptive always on the exam. So a lot of information here. And at some point of time, at some stage today, after going through a couple of slides, I'm going to draw a picture to confirm this understanding. The understanding of these 2 principles here, predictive and adaptive, and some of the important concepts that are discussed here. I'll present that in a slide for you, right? 2 slides, and we'll take a look at it. We'll take a visual look at it. So projects may be closed. There could be an ideal close for a project, and there could also be a premature close for a project. So let's build this slide together. New slide. Choose blank. So project closure. Ideal project closure. The ideal project closure is when the stakeholder or the sponsoring organization accept the deliverable. Ideal closure, they accept the deliverable and the project goes into closing. That's the ideal closure. Or in other words, a better way of saying that will be a project management way of saying that will be when the project charter is fulfilled. Ideal closure of a project is when the project charter is fulfilled. But sometimes there are times when projects may not have this ideal closure. And there could be because of certain reasons, there could be, let's make it in red, premature closure of project. And this premature closure could be because of maybe misalignment, continuous misalignment with project vision or objectives, PMP exam question. Premature project closure could happen because there is continuous misalignment with project objectives. Project closure could also be on an adaptive project. Premature closure could be some impediment took place, and now some impediments took place, and now it's not desired. This project is not desirable anymore because of some predictive impediment. The project closed. There is this famous PMP exam question around starvation of funds or lack of finances, or lack of finances, or you could say lack of financial support could be another reason why projects close in a premature fashion. There could also be some kind of risk that has been encountered, which is like a threat, and it's just not, it is impossible to execute this project. A threat that that causes a level of disruption in future that it's just not possible. Or the needs of stakeholders have changed. The needs of stakeholders or requirements of stakeholders have changed, and this project is not desirable anymore. The project can come to a premature closure because of that. That the needs and requirements have changed and the outcome is not desirable anymore. Another reason for a premature closure could be organization made significant changes to the business case. Organization has made significant changes to the business case. Another reason for a premature closure could sometimes be, it could be legal or regulatory framework has forced this to happen, regulatory reasons. So from PMP exam standpoint, the ideal project closure, sometimes also called extinction of a project, is stakeholders or the sponsoring organizations have accepted the deliverable or the charter is fulfilled. Ideal closure. Let's put it on this side, the left side, the green. On the right side here are all the various reasons which may lead to a project closure or a premature project closure right here. Various reasons for premature: misalignment with a vision or objectives. Requirements have changed. The outcome is not desirable anymore. Regulatory or legal framework has changed. Lack of financial support or starvation of funds. Sometimes premature closure could also happen because of organizational changes. This slide on PMP exam would bring you about 2 questions. Projects close, there's ideal closure, but there is also not so ideal closure of projects or premature closure. What are the various reasons for a project closing prematurely? All that are listed in red. 1, misalignment. 2, some impediment. 3, starvation. 4, legal or regulatory framework has changed. 5, needs. 6, risk. 7, organization made significant changes to the business case, or leadership has changed. I'm not putting it here, not so important from PMI standpoint, but leadership has changed. Premature closure could also be called forced closure. Keep that in mind. Any questions from this slide? Any questions?
No question. Throughout the course, we talking about the litigation. So litigation also can be the reason for this one.
So legal or regulatory framework can lead framework changing. Litigation could be the reason stemming out of legal or regulatory framework, but from PMP exam standpoint, that word litigation will not be there, but legal or regulatory framework, changes to legal or regulatory framework. Okay, but litigation during the project could come out of because of some legal challenges or changes in the regulatory framework.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Any other question, folks, before we move on?
Can you explain organization made significant change again?
So
The
you
seventh
wrote a
one.
business case, and in business case, there was a business need. Organization now said the business need that is listed in the business case will be changed, With that change, it's so significant. The change to business need could be so significant that there is no point executing this project. This project that you're running may be considered a sunk cost, and you may have to initiate another project to address that business need. Executing the project the way you are executing it, if there was a change to a business need listed in the business case, sometimes your current project is not going to fulfill that. There's no point executing it. So you may have to stop this project, consider the investment on the project as a sunk cost, and maybe start another project to address that business need. Significant changes to business case generally means the need has drastically evolved and changed. Right? Business case is nothing but justification of business need. If the need has changed in a radical manner, then this project may not be able to support this need the way this project is being executed. You may have to start a new project and consider the investment of this project, maybe sunk cost. Make sense?
Yes, totally. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Any other question, guys, before we move on?
Can you go over number 5 again, please?
Number 5, needs or requirements of stakeholders have changed. So you started a project and you were in executing phase. Suddenly, one of the stakeholders said, well, I have a new requirement. When you looked at that requirement, the change was so huge that maybe there was no financial support for that change because of initial poor requirement gathering. Organization said, not right now, stop this, right? Need change because of the need or the requirement of stakeholder, evolving requirement of stakeholder, but organization did not have any support, financial support or any other kind of resource support to support that change. They said, maybe we just need to shelve this project. I have been part of projects where there was a change request that happened on the project, and the change request was so massive that they said, this fiscal year, shelve this project, document what has been done. Maybe we'll come back to this project next year if we have availability of resources. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. So what are some of the project closure activities? These are all predictive project closure activities. So what are some of the project closure activities? Let's talk about them. Let's put them in a new slide. Right here, so this is predictive. You can write on your on your notes, you can say these are all predictive. This slide is for predictive project. The steps listed are for predictive project. Predictive, right? Right here, there is also this icon that PMI has for predictive projects. So let's talk about that a little bit. Now let's present to you a picture. One more time, a picture that will help you understand some of the principles that will kind of like summarize the entire story. So Janice in the beginning said this whole PMI, the idea of PMI authorized PMP exam prep is nothing but project lifecycle. Project lifecycle is from starting a project or initiating a project or initiate to closing of project. In between this journey from start to close, there is certain level of planning that happens. On a predictive project, this is all predictive, folks. We are talking about predictive projects. That slide that we are discussing is all predictive. I said initiating start, the project goes into planning. After planning, the project goes into executing. Sometimes you could also say doing the work. This is the life cycle of a project. But before the project starts, organization gives it a go, says, we will start this project. Before this project is started, before we get here, look at where I'm making the star. Before we get here, look at this colorful star. Before we get here, some justification took place, and that justification is called the pre-project phase of the project. During the pre-project phase, business need was established. Business need, then using the business need, business case was developed. Business case is nothing but justification of business need. Justification of business need. Business case, justification of business need. Business case also contains the benefits. What organization did was they said, why do we want to keep the benefits hidden in the business case? Let's elaborate these benefits in a document called Benefit Management Plan. So the benefits, the initial benefits, now hear this well, PMP exam questions. The initial benefits are listed in the business case. And the organization, what they do is they pull out, they extract these benefits from the business case, and they document them separately in a document called Benefit Management Plan, and they elaborate these benefits. So Benefit Management Plan is a document that elaborates the benefits listed in the benefit in the business case. So these are all pre-project documents, sometimes called the business document. When the business case gets approved, look at the highlight here. When the business case gets approved is when the project is born or the project is initiated. Please keep this in mind. Business case is not a project document. It is a pre-project document. Organizational leadership may mandate some resource to write this document, develop this document. And when the organization leadership signs off on this document, says, I'm willing to invest on this project, is when the project is born or the project is initiated, or the project is started. And when the project is started, some people were like, oh, well, project charter is a pre-project document. Wrong. It is at this time a new document by sponsoring organization is created, and this document is called the project charter. Project charter is created using the business case and the benefit management plan. And of course, you could also use the business need document, which is one-line statement or one-page document, right? Key inputs to a project charter are the business case, benefit management plan, and the business need document. Project charter is built on the framework of business case and the benefit management plan. When the project charter is approved, the project is deemed authorized. Project charter contains something very, very, very important. Again, so project charter contains something very important. And what is very important is right here. So project charter contains success criteria. At the end of the project, organization is going to look at the success criteria and will say the project charter is fulfilled or ideal project closure. Project charter is fulfilled means ideal project closure because it met the success criteria. So where is the success criteria listed, folks?
Project charter.
Project charter.
Very good. Are you going to make that mistake on the PMP exam? No, right?
No.
We'll get that right. So let's highlight it in yellow here. You're going to get it right. Project charter is created by the project manager. True or false?
False. The
False.
team.
False.
False.
I think we should have a polling here. How many people say project charter is created by, I'm not talking about real world, by the way. We are in PMI's world. And I would strongly recommend and suggest that we remain in PMI's world for next 1 month or 1.5 months till the day you write the PMP exam, right? You are in PMI's world. In PMI's world, project charter is not created by the project manager. They may support this process. It is created by the sponsoring organization. Does that ring some bell?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Are you going to make that mistake on the PMP exam and choose project charter is created by the project manager? In real world, it may. Yeah, of course, project managers write the project charter. They're mandated to write the project charter. But in PMI's world, it is the sponsoring organization. So what happens when the project charter gets approved? The project is now
Born.
authorized.
Authorized. Sorry.
Project is born when the business case was approved, right? Organization said, I am willing to. So look, organization said, I'm willing to start this project. I'm willing to put $3 million and my infrastructure towards this project. That's what is starting of project, initiating of project. Authorization is, I'm now okay to put this project, drive this project towards planning. Project authorized means this project can now go into planning. And what happens in planning, folks? What is one thing that is done in planning? What is the primary reason why planning is conducted? To create the
Roadmap.
Business management plan.
Okay. Guys, why do we do planning? What's the reason for planning? Planning, the word planning. What comes out of the word planning, folks?
Elaboration of activities.
Sometimes it's just important to think a little bit. Planning, why do we conduct planning? Planning is conducted to create.
We need to plan.
Project
Baselines.
management plan.
I don't think this should be so difficult for us in 7th session, right? Planning. I mean, if you're working as project managers, the moment someone says planning, you should say, well, this is all about creating the plan. And the plan contains 3 core baselines of scope baseline, schedule baseline, and cost baseline. One of the important things from closing standpoint, so this picture that I'm creating for you is from closing standpoint. One of the important things that is part of project management plan, apart from the 3 baselines, is the acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is established here during planning. Established here. Acceptance criteria established, highlighted in yellow, PMP exam question. Acceptance criteria established. Established. Acceptance criteria is based on the requirements. Acceptance criteria is based on the requirements of stakeholders. And now, if the requirements change, what will happen to the acceptance criteria? Do you think it's going to change, or do you think it's going to stay still the same?
It's going to change.
Acceptance criteria continues to evolve. Just like benefit management plan, every time a requirement will change, the benefits will also change, will also continue to evolve. So acceptance criteria is created or established during planning and may evolve when approved change request happens on the project. Project goes into executing. Guys, what do you think executing is all about? Doing the work. Why do we do the work? Why do we do the work?
To deliver value.
To meet the requirements.
To meet the requirements. Is there a better way of saying that? I think, yes, there could be a better way of saying it. And we could say, well, executing or doing the work is all about creating the deliverable of the project. Deliverable could be the product. Deliverable could be the service. And deliverable could be the result of the project, right? Executing, doing the work is about creating the deliverable of the project. So team creates the deliverable of the project. You know what else the team does? Team will also do the testing on this deliverable. And when the team is confident that the deliverable is stable, you know what the team would do? Team would now call the sponsoring organization and invite them. Team will call the sponsoring organization and invite them. Invite them to do what? Team will call the sponsoring organization, invite them to perform or do something called acceptance by inspection. Sponsoring organization will come and they will do acceptance, maybe by using inspection. And this is the time they will do acceptance by using. How would the sponsoring organization do acceptance? Look at the picture that we have created. What is something that they will use to do acceptance?
Project management plan.
Can we also
That we use the project charter to assess about
right.
this.
Take a look at this picture here. Acceptance by inspection. The sponsoring organization will accept the deliverable. And how would they accept the deliverable?
Via the acceptance criteria.
Very good. It's on your screen, folks. I'm not asking you something that's foreign. And we already discussed that when we started the journey today, right? This was one slide that I said, There are 4 to 8 questions or 6 questions on the PMP exam from the slide. I'm just elaborating that for you. We could have easily moved on. I'm building this picture for you so that you develop better understanding. It's extremely important, predictive projects. So testing is done. You call the sponsoring organization, you show it to them, and they say, well, I accept. Sometimes they can do inspection, accept, but they bring their acceptance criteria. Say, did you meet my acceptance criteria? Yes, 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 yes. Good, I accept. And when the sponsoring organization says acceptance, I accept, is when the project goes into closing. Keep that in mind. The project can only move into closing when the acceptance criteria is applied by the sponsoring organization and acceptance has happened, right? The project can now go into closing. PMP exam question, when can the project go into closing? Guys, what do you think? When can the project go into closing?
When accepted by the sponsoring organization.
Janice, you are so writing the PMP exam, no doubt. Very good, right? When accepted by the sponsoring organization, acceptance could be done by this technique called inspection. This is the time when acceptance criteria is applied. So PMP exam question, when is the acceptance criteria established? When is the acceptance criteria established?
During planning.
During planning. Very good. And when is the acceptance criteria applied?
Executing.
Execution.
At the end of the before closing, just before closing, right? Before you move it to closing. And what happens when the acceptance criteria is applied and the stakeholders have accepted the deliverable? Acceptance has happened.
You can move to closing.
Project can now move into closing. If you can remember that this slide that PMI has given us right here, this top part right here, this top part is what I elaborated to you, right? PMI just puts 2 bullets. So this top part right here is what I just elaborated to you, right? This is what I've done here. I've elaborated that for you. And closing, you know what closing is all about? Project team is going to hand over the outcome to the rightful owner or the receiving party, or closing is about transition of deliverable to its owner. Owner could be the customer, owner could be the business, owner could be the end user, owner could be the city, owner could be the country, owner could be the community, owner could be anyone that is the rightful, right? That is the receiving party. The receiving party is the owner. Project team hands over the outcome to the project team will hand over the outcome to the receiving party. Kangni, you need to go on mute, my friend. There we go. Thank you. All right. So that's predictive projects, right? How are predictive projects closed? Now, so this is predictive project. Now, if you take a look at same slide here, it also speaks about adaptive. Take a look at that a little bit with me here. Let's build one more slide here for adaptive projects. Adaptive projects, they start with iteration planning, daily scrum, review or demo, and retrospective. Right, this is the life cycle. The idea is the same. If you look at what I'm writing in orange here, plan, execute, test, close. Same idea. So iteration planning is where you have, so iteration planning is where you have the iteration log. The product owner provides the definition of done. Definition of done. And using the definition of done, teams write something called evaluation criteria or acceptance and evaluation criteria. Evaluation and acceptance criteria is created by the team. Definition of done is created or provided by the PO in collaboration with the team. So daily scrum, same as execution. Think about predictive execution. So daily scrum, what happens as part of this event called daily scrum? What is created? What happens in execution? What do we do?
We do the work, deliverables.
We do the work to create the
Deliverables.
Which could be the product, service, or result. Now, the team creates the deliverable. Team will also do the testing. And when the team has done the testing, you know what they do? They provide a demo to the PO. And what does the PO do during this time? PO will validate
Definition of done.
if definition of done is met or not. If it is met, the PO says, I accept, or the PO says, done. Same as acceptance, right? Same as acceptance. So PMP exam question highlighted in yellow, definition of done, when is it established? Definition of done is same as acceptance criteria, established during planning or iteration planning.
Iteration plan.
Acceptance criteria is provided by the sponsoring organization or the stakeholders. PO provides the definition of done, the same philosophy. Daily Scrum is about creating the deliverable of the project and also testing it by the team. But just because the team did it doesn't mean anything. Got to invite the PO or the stakeholders, and now the PO comes and applies the definition of done. If the outcome meets the definition of done, if the deliverable meets the definition of done, PO says, I am good and I accept. Acceptance means either hand it over to the customer or put it aside and have a quick retro after that. Are we good? You see that one slide that PMI had? This is what they mean, right? Everything that is highlighted in yellow is a PMP exam question. Done is same as acceptance, right? So some of the activities, so predictive projects, some of the activities that you may perform, as part of predictive projects. So let's document them in a separate slide. So predictive project closing activities. Number one, acceptance. So what is the prerequisite? Let's say prerequisite or entry criteria to closing. Entry criteria to closing. When can closing start? When acceptance by sponsoring organization has happened. Number one. Number two, this is the time when the project team will transition outcome, or let's make it simple, deliverable. Some people may even get confused with that. Will transition deliverable to the receiving party. You could say the rightful owner. The rightful owner could be the operation, customer, city, or anyone that is receiving the outcome. Transition happens. You would, at this time, you would ensure that you have completed or concluded all obligations. These obligations could be contractual obligations. These obligations could be legal obligations. These obligations could be any other transfer of liability, including open risks have been communicated to the stakeholders. Number four, you will notify parties or organization units that are responsible. Number five, you will update the artifacts, or in PMI's world, we call them organizational process assets, OPAs. You will archive all project info. You would plus conduct a final lesson learned session. You would create a final report of the project. Final report is the performance report of the project, not a postmortem. Performance report. You will create a final report. Final report. And one thing, I'm going to write it on top, number 8. When are the resources released? When are the resources released? Resources are released at the end. Resources. And resources could be human, financial, and it could be physical assets. Physical assets. They are resources released at the end, highlighted or presented here in red. Number 8, the last step, release the resources. So PMP exam question, resources, everything. Oh, sorry. Here. Resources, human, financial, and physical assets. Resources are released. So in the PMP exam, there is a question which says the last step in closing a project. What is the last step, or the last one of those last activities that are performed? Resources. Everything else that is listed here could happen in any order, except for you can't go into closing without acceptance. Everything else can happen in any order, but resources. Resources are released right at the end, and the resources could be financial, which means returning the money, leftover money to the sponsoring organization, returning the leftover money to the sponsoring organization. It could be human resources, releasing the resources, and it could be physical assets, releasing the physical assets that were being used by your project. Very important, number 8, highlighted in yellow. Archiving project information, plus during closing, you will conduct a final lesson learned session and complete the lesson learned document. Complete the lesson learned document. We'll come back to this a little bit later to talk about lesson learned a little bit. So these are all your activities listed here. I've already presented them here. Keep this in mind. One of the last things that happens on a project is releasing human resources. Transition. We talked about transition when the project is closed, when the project goes into closing phase. One of the first few things that we do is we transition the outcome to the customer or the receiving party. Now, this receiving party could be the customer. The receiving party could be the operations. The receiving party could be an end user community. Receiving party could be anyone that will consume the outcome of your project, transitioning everything, right, to those stakeholders. And in predictive projects, the output is handed over to the PO, and the PO may decide whether to ship the outcome to the customer, and the PO may decide whether to put it aside right now because it may not be the right time to hand it over to the customer. It's not where it needs to be. Maybe it is bare bone. Maybe it is just enough to see, feel, and experience, but not at the stage or the level where it can be handed over to the customer. So MVP, we all know what MVP is and what MMF are. The PO decides at the end of the iteration whether to ship it to the customer or put it aside, maybe integrate some more iterations into it, and then hand it over to the customer. But the most important thing is whether you're working in predictive project or you're in adaptive project, our customers should be ready. The receiving party should be ready to consume the outcome and sustain it. Having that transition plan and ensuring that receiving party has received it is extremely important from PMP exam standpoint, or even from operational or real world standpoint. Which brings us to the end of our topic A. What we'll do is we'll take a break. However, before going on break, what we can do is we can take some questions from you. Any questions thus far?
Hemant, could you give the full form for OPA? I think I missed that.
Organizational process assets. OPAs are all those historical documentations, such as a business case, benefit management plan, policies, procedures, lesson learned, estimation guidelines, and all the things that you may make reference to, right, are assets of organization, OPAs.
Would we put the issue log and the risk register for that project there as well? Okay.
Absolutely. Everything that is developed as part of the project is asset of the project, right? And anything that would be relevant to future organization or future project team must be archived. And these archived documentation and other resources are called OPAs, or organizational process assets, something that we had discussed on day 1 as part of our lesson called business environment. But I think you got it.
Thank
okay.
you.
Hemant, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the when the project deliverable is transition to the to the owner or client, usually sometimes there is like if some work that are done to implement or to get the user of the deliverable up and running. What is that phase part of the project, or is out of the project?
So look, our end user community must be engaged throughout the life cycle of the project. So when you're handing the outcome to them, they should be ready to consume it, right? Imagine you go to work, Kangmi goes to work on Monday morning. He doesn't have a laptop, but he has a very extremely specialized tool in front of him. Instead of computer, now he's going to use this device to do the work. He's never seen this before, but someone executed a project and replaced the way Kangmi did the work every morning. And Monday morning, he came to work and he was informed, well, there was a project that was running and you are the owner of this product or outcome, along with 500 other people. All 500 people are overwhelmed. How do I even use this? I don't know how to use it. I was used to using a laptop and suddenly I have this new device. So what can we do to reduce resistance towards change is by creating FAQs, job aids, manuals, guidelines, conducting webinars throughout the life cycle of the project, engaging the end user community, creating things such as having things such as lunch and learn sessions, having things such as town hall meetings, communication of outcome and providing training on the outcome to the end user community must be done throughout the life cycle of the project. And it's done via engagement, right? Creation of FAQs, job aid, manuals, guidelines, webinars, lunch and learn sessions, town hall meetings, and all those other techniques that we may use to engage our community. The idea is to inspire the end user. The idea is to delight the end user. The idea is to spread the good news story of the project to the end user community. So on Monday morning, when Kangmi came, he was excited to use this new device because he knew almost everything about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
All right. Any other question, guys? So another part of Kangmi's question, I think, was support. Some projects, they have a warranty period of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe a year. And the project team, a small team is created to support the project as per the contract or the agreement. But when that contract is fulfilled, it is now totally the receiving party that is going to do the maintenance and sustainment of the outcome, right? So keep that in mind. There is a period of hypercare or post-implementation support that could be part of the project lifecycle. All projects provide warranty. For example, if I renovated my kitchen and one of the things was the faucet, and the faucet started leaking, there could be a guarantee or warranty by the builder for 3 months or a year. They'll come and fix it for free. Part of the project, right? But when their warranty period has expired, now it is all you, the homeowner, that is going to take care of all and everything that's going wrong or going right for you. Sustainment is receiving party's responsibility, but transitioning it in such a way that the receiving party sustains is project team's responsibility. So Kangmi, that was the second part of your question. Hypercare is generally part of the project, a warranty or a maintenance period. And when it is fulfilled, then it is the receiving party that will take care of all and everything about sustainment as well as generation of value. Okay.
Samaya has a question. She said, can you please explain the value stream analysis?
We will explain the value stream analysis when we come back after the break. It's Sorry, is the question on the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we'll come back after the break. Let's take a break. It's 10:22. Let's be back at 10:35, and let's start the session with value stream analysis. Value stream analysis, right? The idea of, first of all, it's understanding the entire life cycle, and in that, ensuring the value, the part of value. So we'll talk about that when we come back. I'll draw a picture for you, and it will help you understand it probably in 1 or 2 minutes. So we'll come back. Any other question, which can just be answered here without drawing anything on the screen? Okay, all right. Let's take a break. We'll come back, and we will start with value stream analysis. Topic B for today is benefit realization. Now, some of the things that are important for us from benefit realization standpoint. What are some of the things that are important from exam standpoint? From exam standpoint, on predictive projects, generally benefits will be realized at the end. Keep this in mind. Or even after project closure, benefit will continue to be realized. On adaptive projects, though, benefits are realized incrementally. Keep that in mind. Right? They're realized incrementally at the end of each iteration. Either you could create MVP, minimum viable product, or you may create a shippable product, which is MMF or MBI, minimal marketable feature or minimal business increment. So in a predictive project, there is, let's insert a new slide, and let's blank slide. So benefit project, predictive, and adaptive. In a predictive project, the creation of benefit is team's responsibility. Sustainment of benefit is the responsibility of the owner or receiving party. In a predictive project, in an adaptive project, same idea. The delivery of benefit is the responsibility of the team, and sustainment is the responsibility of the customer's responsibility. Now keep this in mind. Sustainment best happens when project team did transition really well. Sustainment of a project outcome can only happen when the project organization has done a great job at transitioning the outcome, which is providing the right kind of training, providing the right kind of engagement to the customer, ensuring that the customer is aware of the outcome and how to consume the outcome. Those are transition activities. So right here, PMI speaks about benefits could be delivered depending on the nature of project that you're working on, based on project lifecycle, predictive, adaptive. Nature of project work, if you're building a mobile application, benefits could be delivered in an incremental fashion. If you're constructing a highway, the benefit would be delivered at the end of the project and may continue to be delivered. So depending on the nature of project, so benefit delivery is dependent on the nature of the project, nature of the life cycle, kind of industry you're working on, and kind of environment you are working in. In a predictive project, so this is predictive right here. In a predictive project, benefits are listed in a benefit management plan. And benefit management plan is a business document. So let's understand this, because there are easily two questions on the PMP exam. So right here, layout, take a blank. So business need leads to development of a business case. In the business case, benefits are listed. Benefits are listed in the business case. And benefits are elaborated in a benefit management plan. You could think of benefit management plan as a simple spreadsheet like this. You could think of benefit management plan as a simple spreadsheet. All the benefits that were listed in business case, for example, customer satisfaction, for example, revenue generation, for example, adoption rate, and all other things that were listed in the business case, now they are extracted from there. A benefit is given a specific ID. Benefit is given a name. Benefit is given a description. What is the description of the benefit? Benefit is given a benefit owner, someone who is responsible for the delivery and sustainment of benefit. So benefit owner is someone who is responsible for the delivery and sustainment of the benefit, right? Benefit owner. In the benefit management plan, you also have other attributes of benefit, such as delivery time of the benefit. When will the benefit be delivered? It also contains some KPIs. How would the benefit be measured? Some KPIs. And it may also contain things such as, is this benefit a tangible or intangible benefit? KPIs and what this benefit. So you have these simple benefits listed, benefit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the business case. The organization says projects are being undertaken to deliver the benefits. We need to have a better view. And to create a better view, organizations, they create a benefit management plan and they hand over this document to the project team. Now think about it like this. Initially, they thought there would be 30 benefits coming out of this project. Requirements change and benefits increased, or maybe some requirements got suppressed or killed, benefit reduced. So benefit management plan is a document that continues to evolve throughout the journey of the project, right? So a benefit delivery is delayed, you got to change the delivery time here for that benefit, right? So a benefit management plan is like a simple spreadsheet which contains these elements, and PMI presents it no differently. PMI says, well, benefit management plan right here is a major input to creation of a project charter or authorizing the project. Benefit management plan contains both tangible and intangible benefits. Customer satisfaction is intangible. 2% increase in revenue is tangible. Determines the delivery time or the time frame when the benefit will be delivered. Clearly identifies the person who is organization or the person who is responsible for delivery of the benefit and also ensuring sustainment. Captures the KPIs related to the benefit, and it could also show some risks and other aspects, but this is what a benefit management plan is, right? Benefit management plan is a document that continues to evolve as the needs or the project requirements evolve. As the environment changes, this document will also continue to evolve. Benefit owner is, from exam standpoint, is or could be a sponsor, receiving party. It could be a receiving party, maybe operation manager. It could be a customer. It could also be a business analyst who is representing the business. In predictive projects, in adaptive project, the product owner is responsible for ensuring that projects or the iteration delivers the benefit. Iterations and the projects are delivering the benefits, the product owner's responsibility. The benefit owner, as I said, is someone who is responsible for the delivery of the benefits. Not only the delivery, also ensuring that the receiving party would be able to sustain these benefits. So if you take a look at it here, benefit owner works with the project manager and ensures that benefits are managed and delivered. Benefit owner will help in transitioning the benefits to the receiving party or the organization. They will ensure that the KPIs are established, monitored, and in the end, you also validate that benefits have been delivered. And business, so a benefit owner is someone who will report to the management that the project has delivered the benefit for which it was undertaken, or the project is on track to delivering these benefits, or some of the benefits are delivered and some of the benefits will be delivered in 5 fiscal years, or some of the benefits are delivered, some could not be delivered, and those benefits that could not be delivered now will become another project, right? So it's the responsibility of the benefit owner. From exam standpoint, benefit owner is that responsible organization that is working with the project team and ensuring the delivery of these benefits, and also working with the receiving party for transitioning of these benefits. PMP exam, recent exam question was, where can you find who the benefit owner is? What would you choose? Project charter, project management plan, benefit management plan, or the business case?
Benefit management plan.
You have a question like that on the exam, right? So let's be aware of that. This idea, benefit owner, is listed in the benefit management plan. What is one document that is used to create a benefit management plan?
Business case.
Business case.
Business case.
Very good. This picture right here, right, will help you answer that question. All projects, so if we take a look at, like, new slide and blank, draw here. All projects, we see whether it is an adaptive project or a predictive project. Projects deliver stakeholders' requirements. All projects, predictive or adaptive, are undertaken to deliver stakeholders' requirements. When the stakeholders' requirements are delivered is when stakeholders are satisfied. Or in other words, stakeholders are satisfied when benefits are delivered. And benefits are delivered is when value is delivered, right? Benefits, they translate into value. So keep this in mind, that all projects deliver stakeholders' requirement when you deliver stakeholders' requirements is when stakeholders will be satisfied. And stakeholders will be satisfied when the promised benefits are delivered. So at the end of the project here, at the end of the project closing, we validate whether the benefits were delivered or not. You validate whether the benefits were delivered or not. And this reporting of whether the benefits were delivered or not, so reporting of whether the benefits were delivered or not is done by, what's the name of that role?
The benefit owner?
This has been one of the PMP exam questions, right? The benefit owner. Benefits could be tangible and intangible. Keep that in mind. Benefits could be tangible. So benefits could be tangible and intangible. So tangible benefits could be things such as shareholder equity. Projects may lead to increase in shareholders' equity. Shareholder, not stakeholder. It may lead to generation of some economic value. It may lead to improvement to infrastructure. Infrastructure or physical assets, other physical assets, economic or financial value, and other tangible aspects. Intangible value could be customer satisfaction. Intangible value could be employee satisfaction, may leading to employee retention. It could be generation or creation of new patents. It may be recognition for brand recognition, etc., right? So benefits could be tangible and intangible, and they are listed. Tangible and intangible benefits are listed in the benefit management plan. Benefit owner is responsible for the delivery of these benefits and also transition of these benefits. Benefit owner will also report these benefits to the sponsoring organization, would provide the status of these benefits. One of the other important components of this benefit management plan is the status. Is this benefit delivered, on course to be delivered, deferred, or any other status? So there is some status also that is provided related to the benefit. That's why this document becomes something that we continue to use throughout the life cycle of the project. So last topic for today is,
Sorry, Hemant, can you just go back to slide number 22, please?
right here,
22.
22. Is this the one?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All righty. Knowledge transfer. One of the themes of this literature that has been presented is most of the topic seems like, except for few, seems like they continue to happen throughout the life cycle. In a predictive project at the end, knowledge transfer must be done from the project team to transition organization. Project team to the receiving party. To project team to the receiving party. Let's take a look at it a little bit. Let's take a look at this picture here. Let's choose a color. Look, when the project starts right here, then the project goes into planning, then executing, and then closing. Let's say the project started somewhere here project started on 22nd September. The project started on 22nd September. Project charter was created, of course. Project charter was created using some pre-project documents. And then after the project charter was created, maybe here, somewhere here, the project manager said, guys, look at it in red. Let's make it red, this milestone. Guys, project manager said, guys, you know, we know that this project started on September 22nd, 2024. I said, guys, we know one thing right now, that this project will be closed, or this project will come to an end on 17th of March, 2026. Project manager, in the early stages, I don't want to say starting or planning, somewhere during the early stages, project manager assembles the stakeholders and the team into a meeting. And they do something called organizational readiness assessment. So you know what does the project manager do? And a good project manager like yourself, you know what we should do? right here in the early stages, we should assemble our team and our critical stakeholders and say, guys, let us today think about 17th of March, 2026. This is what the project manager and the team does. On maybe around, so the project started 22nd of September, 2024. On 2nd of November, 2024, project manager called a meeting, assembled the team, whatever was available, and some of the critical stakeholders and other stakeholders, even someone who was the receiving party into this meeting. Said, guys, today we are thinking about March 17th and 2026. This is the outcome that we are trying to create. And this is what we will hand over, some outcome. And they talked about the outcome. How ready is our end user community? In 2020, in 2003 or 4, when Apple started the great project called iPhone is considered one of the, I think they say iPhone is one of the most, not one of the, actually it's the most valuable product on earth right now. There is no other product on earth which is more valuable than iPhone, which right now at this time, it is valued at over $1 trillion. It's like the economy of probably Africa, right? Maybe add another $1 or $2 trillion, and that's what the economy of Africa is right now. That's what Apple is, that one product that they've created, iPhone. So in 2003, that team assembled, Steve Jobs, Tim Cook, and all these folks and their shareholders and some customers assembled and said, guys, how ready are our people? 2003, iPhone had never been seen. They've not even produced it yet. They said, we are creating this phone that is going to change the way we use the phone. How ready is our customer? We're going to release it in 2005. Today is 2003. How ready are they? Said, man, the kind of phone you are telling us about today in 2003, our people are not ready. They've not seen anything. How are they going to even use it? You're saying they will go like this on the screen. Never heard, never seen. Said, so what do we need to do? Said, well, you know what we need to do? We'll need to create FAQs. We need to create job aids. We need to create manuals. We need to create videos, YouTube videos. We'll need to create webinars. We need to have lunch and learn sessions with our stakeholders. We will need to do a lot of road shows. We will need to do continuous engagement of end user community by having our conferences and unveiling the steps in the process to our customer. Look, the project has not even started right now. It's barely started. Just the project charter is created. And the team, we will need to do town hall meetings. We'll need to do some demos of our product every now and then from here till the very end. The reason is when we launched our product in 2005, they said, our customer will be as good as they have been using the product. The idea was, so organizational readiness assessment is conducted to ensure the kind of transition activities that will be required. Transition activities for iPhone did not happen here in the end. Transition activities for Apple started having from beginning to the end, the engagement, focus groups, right? Job aids, manuals, demos, etc., etc., etc. They knew, Apple knew very well the steps they needed to take to create a delightful experience to people. And when the iPhone will be released, they will line up in excitement outside all the stores. They will line up in excitement, and they have not seen and experienced the device, but they all know already how to use it. Transition is done by performing or the activities involved in transition are done by understanding the readiness of an organization. When they released the first iPhone, these activities, transition activities, were so many activities, but as and when they have moved to iPhone 16 now, these activities have considerably reduced. They just talk about some of the new features. The first effort is really big. But as you continue to enhance your product, when the customer has already built the loyalty with the product, they already know, transition activities also start. The intensity starts reducing because customer already knows. Guys, did you understand that there is something called organizational readiness assessment that is done in a project? The assessment is done to understand how ready is our end user community to embrace our product, to use our product. And this assessment leads to understanding and development of artifacts such as FAQs, job aid, manuals, videos, guidelines, lunch and learn, town hall, road shows, etc., conferences, etc. And we continue to unveil the product as it is being developed. The idea is, what can we do to reduce the resistance towards change? And what can we do to increase the adoption of our product? That is why, because the transition activities and the intensity and the rigor was so high, is why Apple has become Apple, or iPhone has become iPhone, why it has become the most valuable product on earth. So folks, first of all, does everyone understand what I was trying to explain here? Is there any question around this? So the moral of the story is, if you're working as a PM and you start a new project, please start engaging your end user community in the beginning of the project in the beginning of the project itself. The moral of the story is, please start doing the transition activities from the very beginning of the project. If you do it sooner, people will be excited, and your good news story of your project will spread. Project outcomes should not be a shock to the end user community or the receiving party. They should be a delight to the end user community. That's what I was trying to present here. Organizational readiness assessment is done in the beginning to understand the level of transition activities that will be required on a certain project. Each and every project requires certain level of organizational readiness assessment. The rigor may vary though. So PMI says, well, guys, knowledge transfer right here. So PMI says, well, knowledge transfer in predictive and adaptive projects. So PMIs were, let's go here. Where is our slide? So before we even move forward, let's close this and let's reopen it because it has this tendency of shutting down on us all the time. So right here, let's insert a new slide. So knowledge transfer. Predictive and adaptive. Predictive and adaptive. So in predictive projects, number one, lesson learned are documented throughout the project. You start, you lesson learned are documented in a lesson learned register. The completion of so let's rewrite this. Lesson learned register is completed and archived in the end by conducting a final lesson learned session at the end. And keep this in mind right here, this. All stakeholders participate in this lesson learned session in the end. Exam question. All stakeholders will participate in this lesson learned session in the end. So lesson learned are documented throughout the life cycle of a project in a predictive project. In a predictive project, lesson learned are documented throughout the life cycle. Where are they documented? They are documented in a lesson learned register. At the end of the project, at the end of the project during closing, the lesson learned register is completed nicely. All stakeholders participate and they talk about what worked well, what did not work so well, and what were the opportunities for improvement. All stakeholders participate in this discussion. Now, all stakeholders participate in this discussion. Lesson learned register is completed and it is added to the lesson learned repository. I'm going to speak about it again one more time very soon. In adaptive project, yes, we do have lesson learned session, but we call them retrospectives. The idea is the same. What worked well, what did not work so well, what are the opportunities for improvement? But in adaptive projects, the opportunities for improvements are prioritized. Team agrees on some of these opportunities and they are implemented in the very next iteration. The idea is continuous improvement. Retrospectives used for continuous improvement. Retrospectives, number one. Number two, conducted at the end of each iteration, and there could be a final retrospective that is conducted at the end of all the iterations when you got to the end of the product. So adaptive, retrospective, predictive, lesson learned. Now, from PMP exam standpoint, there is this information that I'd like to share with you. So think about an organization. Think about an organization here. Let's think about an organization. An organization. Do you think in an organization there is only one project that is being done? Or do you think there are numerous projects that are being executed? What do you think?
Numerous.
Right? So there could be project 1, there could be project 2, there could be project 3, there could be project 4, and there could be project N, numerous projects. Let's say project A, Janice is the PM. Project B, let's say Mandeep is the PM. Project C, let's say Simran is the PM. And Dave is the PM. Project 4, and so on. When project 1 comes to an end, what does Janice do at the end? Janice completes, or Janice, what does Janice do? Janice would conduct, at the end, Janice conducts a lesson learned session to complete the lesson learned register for project 1. When project 2 comes to an end, Mandeep conducts the same thing, lesson learned session for project 2, and documents all the lessons in lesson learned register for project 2. Right here, project 1. Similarly, Simran does the same thing and completes the lesson 1 register for project 3. Every time this lesson learned register is completed, they all are added to the lesson learned repository of the org. So here you have P1, P2, P3, and so on and so forth. So when the lesson learned register is completed, they're added to the lesson learned repository of the organization. So if I'm accessing the lesson learned repository of the organization, I should be able to see all the projects that have been completed and their lesson learned, so that I can look at them, learn from them, and use them for my benefit, right? Because they contain what worked well or successes, what didn't work well or failures, and what were some of the areas of improvement. Now, when I'm working on my project and my project is similar to what Janice executed, I look at what were some of the successes, and I'll make sure that I am strengthening them. What were some of the failures? I'll make sure I'm putting some preventions in place. And what were some of the areas of improvement? I'm ensuring that I'm including them as part of my planning or initiation of my project. So, question for you: when a lesson learned register is completed at the end of the project, what do you do as a PM?
Perform the lesson learned session for all stakeholders.
Yeah, so you completed that. You've done that. Now what do you do?
You archive and
document
save it to the
repository.
document repository.
You add it to the lesson learned repository of the organization. This is a PMP exam question, right? Who participates in the lesson learned register, that final lesson learned register session? Who participates in that?
All stakeholders.
All stakeholders.
In a predictive
At the project.
in a predictive
All
project.
stakeholders.
Yeah, good. In a predictive project. On an adaptive project, though, it's only the team. Only the team participates in a retrospective session. Keep that in mind. That could also be an exam question. Project team participates in a retrospective session in an adaptive project, right? So we all talked about retrospective, how it's done and all that. I don't think I need to repeat it, but the idea of retrospective or lesson learned session is pretty much the same. Lesson learned and retrospective capture 3 important elements of what worked well, what did not work so well, and what are the opportunities for improvement. In predictive projects, though, it may be too late to implement these opportunities for improvement because you're doing it right at the end. But on adaptive projects, we have this opportunity at the end of each iteration to look at the opportunities for improvement and continue to evolve ourselves as the iteration progress you move from one iteration to another. Now, also keep this in mind that agile teams at the end, when they have exhausted all the user stories in the product backlog, they may conduct a final retrospective, right? They may conduct a final retrospective. In adaptive predictive projects, there could be all the stakeholders coming into this final lesson learned session, sometimes also called the final all hands meeting, right? So keep that in mind from PMP exam standpoint. Now, some people feel that lesson learned session in a predictive project is, or an adaptive project is, just a session that must be conducted. So lesson learned session or a retrospective, lesson learned or a retrospective. There should be, whether it is predictive or adaptive, they should be informal, first of all. And these sessions are not a bickering or a blame game session. Steer away from all that. Number one. Number two, make them structured. Give them some structure. They say when things are structured, then really you get substance. Until and unless things are not structured, don't expect substance from there. Substance only comes when you have structure. Structure, what does that mean? So when I'm conducting a lesson learned session, you know what I do? This is what I do. I'll say, what worked well? What did not work well? And what are the opportunities for improvement? So we have these three columns. But I'll say, let's look at the areas. And I'll start with, guys, scope. How did we do what worked well for us when it comes to scope? What didn't work well, and what are the opportunities for improvement? Then we said, guys, what about schedule? Guys, what about resources? Guys, what about procurement? Resources, procurement. Guys, what about cost? Guys, what about quality? What about risk? What about communication? And what about stakeholders? You will not just stop there. You will say, guys, then you will add the 10th point and say, guys, how well did we manage our environment? And the factors of environment, the pestles and the takeoffs and all that kind of stuff that we have. If you give it structure, there is substance that comes out. Otherwise, it will be random and people will speak about almost everything. Imagine starting a session and saying, guys, we are here for a lesson learned session to capture, or retrospective to capture 3 core elements: what worked well, what did not work so well, and what were the opportunities for improvement. We want to keep it informal. This is not a bickering session. This is about learning from our mistakes and strengthening what is working very well for you. We want to start with scope because this is the core element. Then we want to go into schedule. We want to talk about resources, both human resources, physical resources, and also external resources, procurement. We're going to talk about how well did we do when it comes to cost. We're going to talk about quality. We're going to talk about risk. We're going to talk about communication. We're going to talk about stakeholders. We're going to talk about the environment and how well did we manage our environment, and so on and so forth. This is, remember I told you about these key knowledge areas. These knowledge areas apply to almost everything in project management. Next time when you conduct your lesson learned session, give it a structure. Give it a structure like this and see the substance that comes out of these lessons. So, I was listening to Jensen Huang's interview, who is the NVIDIA's CEO. And in the interview, he said, well, success comes. So he said, success comes not because you're working very hard and you're very sincere. He said, even donkeys are sincere, right? Their leg is broken. And if you go to Greece, or if you've been to Greece, and if you go to some of the islands where there are no cars, you will see these donkeys. Their leg is broken, but they're still carrying. He said, well, success doesn't come to those who are very hardworking and sincere. Success comes to those who have a character, right? Character brings success. Character comes from integrity. Character comes from all these different aspects. And he said, but character doesn't come to you as a gift from up there or just because you were born. Character is not built in a day. Character takes years. And generally, character is built when you experience pain. Generally, character is built when you have seen despair in life. So he said to all the people who were sitting there, say, I wish you despair, and I wish for you pain. Because only when we go through the churning of pain and despair is when our character is built. And then success starts. If everything, all of us have received gifts in life, but what made us what we are today, our successes and failures, they exist, or they are because of the choices we have made. And good choices are made when you have a sound character. Keep that in mind. So he said about character, and then I continue to think about it, and I say, well, yeah, you know what? If you don't gone through pain, if you're not seen despair in life, then don't expect that you will have a sound character. Character comes from pain, when you experience pain. And it's not the gifts that we should be proud of. I think what we should be proud of are the choices that we make. Choices is what makes us, right? Good choices make us. Bad choices break us. Everything is in our control. At least our life is in our control. And I tell people that people say, well, God has not been kind to me. That's not true. God has been extremely kind to rich and poor, equally. Because God gave all of us 24 hours in a day. Some people chose to use those 24 hours certain way. Some people chose to use those 24 hours in a different way. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they're not born in families that are extremely rich families and they had everything. Or Steve Jobs. He's not born in a rich family. You all know that. Steve Jobs, the mother was 16 years old when the mother was pregnant and she couldn't raise the child. And I always tell this to people, look at the constraint. He could very well have been aborted. She chose to give the child up for adoption without knowing if this is a boy or a girl. When the parents who were adopting Steve Jobs came there, they said, oh, it's a boy. We don't want a boy. We want a girl. They left. The lawyers, they left. So it got adopted by another one who was in the line, not financially affluent and all that, but think about it. And the other thing that I've noticed whenever you buy a house, make sure that it has a garage, because it seems like most of the inventions seem to happen in garages. Steve Jobs, garage. Jeff Bezos, all the work in garage. Jensen Huang, all the work in garage. Larry Page, all the work in garage. It seems like garage is a place, very creative place. Try cleaning up your garage maybe this fall, and try seeing to use that unutilized space a little bit better. See maybe, right? I love that story of Jensen Huang, when he was saying what he was saying, that it's all about the character. It's all about the character. It's all about the choices that we make. A little bit of story for all of us, but remind yourself of these core areas that I just listed in purple here. They form the foundation of project management. They give you a structure in project management. Structure is what leads to substance, right? Structure creates substance. Unstructured people are very random. They have no focus. Structure gives us focus. Project management is about focused work. So the idea of consolidating lesson learned, as I said, PMI has listed some here, but I just listed them here. And I said also take a look at your environment. Think about your environment such as Pestle and Takeoff and VUCA. We all know what our environment is, right? And create a final report. Now, this is one of the questions that has been seen on the exam. Some of you may get this question, and Here we go. So final report. Final report is not a post-mortem, by the way. Final report is a term that is used on predictive projects. At the end of the project manager and the team will create. Who creates it? PM plus team. What is final report? What is it? Final report is a report on the performance of the project. Final report is a report on the performance of the project, right? Final report is a report on the performance of the project. Now what kind of performance are we talking about? Performance such as, again, look at this. Final report is a report on the performance of the project and performance of what? Project is formed of scope, performance on scope objectives. Project is formed on schedule, performance on schedule objectives. Project is about resources, both internal and external, performance on that. Project is about quality, performance in the project. Final report on cost, how well did we manage our cost objectives, performance on that. Project is about risks and objectives of risks, how did we manage that. Performance of stakeholders, objectives, and how well did we manage that. Of communication objectives, and how well did we manage that. And performance on other aspects such as how well did we manage the benefit objectives, objectives of scope, objectives of schedule, objectives of resources, objectives related to quality, objectives related to cost, objectives related to risk, objectives related to stakeholders, communication, benefits, and objectives may be related to issues, and how well did we manage that. Final report is a predictive idea. In the end, PM and the team, they create this report, and this report is about performance of the project on scope objectives, schedule objectives, resource objectives, quality objectives, cost objectives, risk objectives, stakeholder objectives, communication objectives, benefit objectives, and any other objective that your project is managing. But PMI gives you some of the objectives. Final report is the summary of project performance report on all those areas of project. Embrace these areas, folks, because these are the foundational areas of project management. Right here. These are the foundational areas of project management. So, project report is not a post-mortem report. Keep that in mind. It's a performance report. You're telling your organization, we had these scope objectives. We were pretty good here. But there are few things that we can improve. There are these schedule objectives that we had in the beginning, and we did pretty well here. There are a few things, however, we can improve. There are quite a few things that we could have done better on stakeholder objectives, but we didn't do so well, but we can document. This was our performance, but we can improve it this way. So final report is a report that is created in the end by the project manager and the team. It's about the performance objectives. Report on the performance objectives of the project. How well did we meet the objectives related to project? Again, one more time, keep this in mind. Project is a project. If a project was a body, it has parts. If you thought project is a body, it's the body like us. And our body has bone, flesh, veins, blood, and whatnot. Similarly, if you consider project as a body, it has parts. About that. So if you consider project as a body, it has parts. And these parts are the work that needs to be done. How long would it take? Who will do the work? And this could be internal and external, which is procurement. How much would it cost? What level of quality do we need to build? Kind of communication that needs to take on the project. What level of communication? Risks, stakeholders, and environment. When you create a project charter, this information is very high level. When you create a project management plan, these parts that form the project, they are detailed. When you execute, you manage these different parts to ensure that they fulfill stakeholders' needs. These areas. And when you end, you measure performance of the project based on these areas. Performance based on these areas. Embrace these ideas of project. Now we continue to say environment, 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 and environment. What is environment for project? We all have been talking about it. Is PESTEL. It is TAKOP. Whatever applies to your organization, and it's BUCA. Political, economic, social, technical or the know-how, legal or regulatory, and environmental. TAKOP, technical or technological, maybe sometimes. Environmental, commercial, operational, and political. VUCA, volatile, level of volatility, level of uncertainty, level of complexity, and level of ambiguity. Folks, this is environment. So project that you manage is formed of these areas highlighted in yellow and ensuring that we continue to manage and monitor our environment, right? As long as you keep this in mind, as long as you keep the areas in mind, you're golden from PMP exam standpoint. So what we'll do is we'll take some questions from you. So let's take some questions. Okay, let's take some questions. Questions, folks?
Going back to the business management plan, that is created by the sponsor?
benefit management plan, not business management plan. That's benefit management plan, right?
Benefit, yes.
Yeah. It is initially during the pre-project phase, it is created by the sponsoring organization. I would not use the word sponsoring organization, because if the sponsor is a senior vice president, they have no time to write these documents. Someone on their behalf, mandated by the sponsoring organization, may create these documents, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but when the project starts, this benefit management plan is handed over to some responsible person who is going to continue to manage this, because requirements may evolve and change, and benefits may also change during the life cycle of the project. So some responsible person mandated by the sponsoring organization or the project team may manage that document after that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Hemant, can you just go up? Can you just go up one slide?
Right here?
Yes, thank you.
So all the learning that we have done, folks, the 6 lessons, they speak the story of these areas, which are scope, schedule, resources, internal, external, or procurement, cost, quality, communication, risk, stakeholder, and the environment. That's what actually we have studied throughout the journey that we have taken of 6 lessons, right? That is our journey. And that's what we have studied. So, okay. Next question, folks. This is your last opportunity to ask questions.
Sorry, I have another question.
Yeah, of course.
When we're talking about knowledge transfer, the lesson learned session, you're saying that all stakeholders are involved in the session when it comes to predictive. For adaptive, does the product owner sit in the retrospects or just the team?
So team, product owner, the Scrum Master or the Agile coach or the Agile PM, and the project team that is doing the work, they're all team. Of course, PO is there, the Agile coach or the Scrum Master or the Agile PM is there, and the team is there. That's the team.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, PO is, look, the idea of Agile is not predictive. The idea of Agile is concurrent engineering, cross-pollination, and deep collaboration. So this core team is always engaged and they're working together. Okay, any other question, folks? All righty.